You know how it is. You're just scrolling, trying to get the real story, cut through the noise. Well, today's deep dive is a bit different. We're getting into some seriously unsettling New Year's Eve experiences.
Right. And these are from the Mr. Nightmare YouTube channel. What's interesting, I think, for listeners is that these aren't just, ghost stories. They're presented as real things that happen.
Exactly. Real events, which kind of forces you to look at them differently, doesn't it?
It does. It's not just about the scare factor. It's digging into why these specific stories stick with you, what makes them resonate.
Yeah, Mr. Nightmare. It's become this huge source for true horror tales. We picked out 3 for this deep dive, and the thing they all share, New Year's Eve.
Which is kind of chilling in itself, that specific night.
Right. So our mission today really is to unpack these 3 stories, pull out the key details, figure out what makes them so memorable, so genuinely disturbing.
We're going beyond just retelling. We want to understand the nuances, the real-life horror elements, maybe even what we can take away from them.
Okay, let's dive into the first one. Picture this. New Year's Eve, 2017, this guy's flying home to Ohio, near Cleveland.
And he's had a rough time already, right? Tough semester. Plus, he's a Browns fan, and this was after their winless season. So, not the best mood.
Definitely not. And his flight gets delayed, messes up the family plans. So he ends up driving the spare car alone late at night, around 10 p.m., I think.
Yeah, late. And he's got his golden retriever, Vera, with him. That's it. Just him and the dog on these dark Ohio back roads. That setup alone kind of screams isolation.
It really does. So he's driving along, middle of nowhere, basically, and Vera suddenly needs to, do her business.
The inevitable dog moment.
Exactly. So he pulls over, and he makes a point of saying how incredibly dark it was, like no lights anywhere, just pure darkness.
And that's when things shift.
Yeah. He hears this sound from the woods nearby. Not just rustling, but like heavy, deliberate crashing.
Heavy and deliberate. That's specific. It doesn't sound like a deer just wandering by. It sounds like something bigger. Intentional, almost.
Right. It immediately puts you on edge. And what does Vera do?
Oh, the dog instinct. She bolts straight into the woods towards the sound.
Yep. So now he's panicked. Middle of nowhere, pitch black, dog runs off towards some weird, heavy sound. What do you even do?
It's that instant fear for your pet, isn't it? He decides to follow her.
Armed with just his phone flashlight, he mentions the weak beam, the snow making things slightly visible, but basically he's going in blind.
Stumbling through the dark woods, relying on that tiny light. That feeling of vulnerability just ramps up massively. The bond with the dog overrides his fear, though.
He's calling her name, getting desperate, and then he sees her, but she's terrified. Crouched low, shivering, tail tucked. He says he'd never seen her like that.
Something clearly spooked her badly in there, whatever made that sound.
Definitely. So they start heading back to the car quickly, and the crashing sound starts again, only this time. It sounds like it's following them.
Ugh, that's the moment the dread really kicks in. It's not just in the woods anymore, it's coming after them. The threat just escalated.
Totally. He gets Vera in the car, practically throws her in, scrambles into the driver's seat.
Yeah.
And just as he gets in, he looks back. He sees them, 3 figures, standing right at the edge of the woods, just watching.
Oh, man, just standing there.
Yeah, he floors it, doesn't look back, just drives like crazy until he's miles away and feels sort of safe. But then
what?
he looks over at Vera, and he realizes she's bleeding. She's been stabbed.
Stabbed? When?
Must have happened when she ran into the woods, or maybe right as they were getting back. He doesn't know for sure, but the shock. First the figures, then seeing his dog injured like that.
It's horrific. It adds this layer of real physical violence to the creepy unknown. And what did he do? Did he report it?
No. He apparently gave her first aid himself, cleaned the wound, but he never told anyone what happened. Not his family, not the police.
Wow. Just kept it all inside. That tells you how deeply it must have affected him, carrying that alone.
Yeah. It completely changes how he feels about New Year's Eve, about going home. It turned this familiar thing into, well, a nightmare.
A truly isolating and terrifying experience. Okay, so that's one kind of horror. The unknown in the dark with a violent twist.
Right. Let's shift gears to the second story. This one happened a few years back, also New Year's Eve, a drive to upstate Pennsylvania.
And this guy, he actually likes long drives, finds them peaceful, which makes the whole thing feel even more ironic, I guess.
Yeah, the contrast is stark. He's driving to his parents' place, looking forward to it. Starts snowing lightly, no big deal.
But then it changes.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Very quickly, light flurries turn into a full-on blizzard. whiteout conditions.
Yeah.
And his car, just a regular sedan, can't handle it, starts sliding.
He's losing control, not equipped for that kind of weather.
Nope. So he has to pull over. He's stuck on the side of the road in a blizzard.
Stranded. That feeling of helplessness must have set in fast. He talks to his parents, they're worried, but there's nothing anyone can do immediately.
Right. He's stuck there, snow piling up, trying to save gas, keep the battery alive, just waiting it out, feeling more and more isolated.
And then hope arrives, or seems to.
Headlights. Cutting through the snow. It's a snowplow. Instant relief, right? Finally, help.
You'd think so, but the description of the driver, it sets off a few little warning bells, maybe. Older guy, weathered, kind of gruff.
Yeah, the storyteller mentions an off-putting vibe right away. Nothing concrete, just a feeling.
Gut feeling. Sometimes you just know.
The driver offers him a ride. Doesn't seem too bothered about the car being left there, just shrugs it off.
Okay, maybe a bit weird, but you're desperate, right? You'd probably take the ride.
He does. Gets in the cab. And it's quiet. Like, uncomfortably quiet.
Awkward silence. Okay.
But then comes the big red flag. He checks his GPS, notices where they're going, and it's the wrong way. Completely opposite to his parents' house.
Uh-oh. That's not just a detour. That's deliberately going the wrong direction. The suspicion level must have shot through the roof.
Exactly. That gut feeling is screaming now. He starts looking around the cab more closely.
And what does he see?
Empty liquor bottles. Torn maps scattered everywhere. And then a knife just lying there.
Okay, full panic mode. Liquor, weird maps, a knife, going the wrong way. This isn't a rescue.
Not at all. He sees a house, lights on, off in the distance through the snow. It's his only chance.
What does he do?
He makes a split-second decision, kicks the passenger door open, and jumps out.
Jumps out of the moving truck. Into a blizzard.
Yes, pure desperation. And as he's tumbling out, he sees the driver reaching over towards the glove box, like he was going for something.
Oh, God. Maybe the knife. Or something else. You don't know, but it's terrifying. Did he make it to the house?
He did. Scrambled through the snow, banged on the door. The homeowners let him in, thankfully. They called the police.
And the snowplow driver?
Gone.
Yeah.
Vanished. The police searched, but never found him or the plow.
Just disappeared. Wow. Leaving the storyteller with this lasting fear, especially of driving in snow, and the constant thought of what might have happened if he hadn't jumped.
It's that betrayal, isn't it? Expecting help and finding danger instead.
Right.
Really unnerving.
Absolutely. Okay, so that's fear of deception, fear of the seemingly helpful stranger. Very different from the first story.
Totally different. Now, the third one. This takes us to northwestern Ontario. Again, New Year's Eve. It's about an annual ice fishing trip.
A tradition. Sounds rugged, folks who know what they're doing out in the cold. The storyteller, his friends Nate and Trevor.
Exactly. They're experienced, prepared. They go to this really remote, secluded lake. Like way out there.
So isolation is a factor again, but in a different way. It's chosen isolation for the tradition. You'd expect peace, right?
You would. But right away, something's off. As they arrive, they see this guy just standing there alone, staring at their truck.
It's staring. That's immediately weird.
Yeah. And then he does this odd thing, like glancing down at his phone, then back at them.
Makes them uncomfortable.
Like he's checking something or reporting back. It sets off that being watched feeling. Very unsettling.
Definitely plants a seed of doubt. But then things escalate fast.
How so? The guy suddenly rushes towards them, waving his arms, totally panicked. Says his friend fell through the ice, needs help right now.
Oh, the classic emergency plea. Hits you right in the instinct to help.
Exactly. All their initial caution just evaporates. It's an emergency. So they immediately follow him. Don't even stop to grab their safety gear or anything.
They just react. Good intentions, but you have a bad feeling about this. It feels like a setup, exploiting their willingness to help.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
He leads them away from the main fishing area towards this more isolated part of the shore, away from safety.
Get them somewhere specific.
And then, bam, the trap springs. Two other guys appear seemingly out of nowhere, and they're definitely not dressed for ice fishing.
Not fishermen. Okay, this is bad.
It gets worse. One of the new guys pulls out a gun, points it right at the storyteller.
Oh my God. From rescue mission to armed robbery in seconds. The shock must have been incredible. The fear.
Total terror. They demand their keys, wallets, phones, everything.
Just a straight up ambush and robbery. Did they get everything?
Almost. Nate, one of the friends, somehow under that pressure, manages to keep his phone hidden. Quick thinking.
Wow. That's crucial. So the robbers, what did they do?
They took Nate's truck, all their gear, their wallets, and just drove off. leaving the three of them stranded.
Stranded miles from anywhere in the freezing Ontario winter with no vehicle, no supplies. That is incredibly dangerous.
Terrifyingly dangerous. Thankfully, Nate had his phone. They managed to call the police. But the wait for help must have been agonizing.
And frightening. Nate must have been furious too. His truck, their stuff, the sheer betrayal of it.
Yeah, the story mentions his intense anger and disbelief. And the police. Did they catch them?
Nope, unresolved. They got away with it. Which leaves that lingering question. Why? Were they targeted? Was it random? We don't know.
That uncertainty adds another layer of unease, doesn't it? The lack of closure.
Definitely. So 3 stories, 3 very different kinds of New Year's Eve horror.
Yeah, when you lay them out like that, you've got the unknown predator in the Ohio woods.
Primal fear of the dark, the unseen.
Then the Pennsylvania blizzard story, the betrayal by the person you thought was helping.
The fear of deception, trusting the wrong person. Social fear, almost.
And finally, the Ontario ice fishing ambush.
Right.
Just deliberate, planned violence and robbery.
Right. The fear of targeted attack, violation of safety, even in a familiar setting.
What really strikes me, though, is how all of them happened on New Year's Eve, a time that's supposed to be about, hope, celebration, connection.
It twists that expectation completely. It taps into that vulnerability we might feel during holidays. Maybe we're traveling, maybe we're in unfamiliar places, maybe we let our guard down a bit.
Yeah. Which story resonates most, do you think? For me, it's maybe the snowplow one. That feeling of realizing help isn't help. That's deeply chilling.
They all hit different nerves, don't they? The woods story taps into that deep-seated fear of the wild unknown. The ambush taps into our fear of calculated human cruelty.
It really makes you think about how fragile that sense of security can be.
It does, even in seemingly ordinary situations.
So maybe the final thought to leave people with as they process these stories. How does hearing about things like this change how you view everyday stuff?
Does it make you look twice at that dark stretch of road? Or think again about accepting help from a stranger even when you need it?
Or just be more aware of who's around, even when you're doing something routine, something traditional.
Perhaps it's just a reminder, right? A stark one. To stay aware, trust your gut, maybe exercise a little extra caution, even when you're celebrating, even when things feel familiar and safe. Because sometimes, clearly, they aren't.
A sobering thought to end on, especially considering the source. Real stories, real fear. Makes you wonder what else is out there.